Welcome everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another exciting review here on the channel. Today we're taking a look at one of the soon to be released Athearn Genesis SD70Ms in the upcoming run of SD70s. This model is one of the Union Pacific models in the Primed for Grime lineup, so we'll see a lot of faded or replacement components on this model, and the model also comes factory equipped with Tsunami2 DCC and sound. Huge thank you to Athearn for letting me take a look at this model here on the channel with you. Hope this is a good overview of this upcoming run. As always, before we get started, do me a favor and subscribe if you haven't already. It is free and does help me make a few dollars, so I do really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Like the video if you enjoyed as well. And as always, drop me a comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them as best I can. Or let me know if you have any of these SD70s already on order for this next run or in a prior run as well. But let's go ahead and get started. I've gone ahead and removed the protective cardboard sleeve just so you can get a quick look at the box itself. Pretty standard Genesis box with the nice dark blue and gold lettering. Same symbol on the top with nothing else going on the bottom. Inside our box we have a bit of paperwork on top, including information on Athearn's 1-year warranty and Athearn's newsletter. You can check out my recap video for a full recap of all of Athearn's updates, as well as a full parts diagram for the SD70 and SD75 series. And finally, this is our operator's manual for the Tsunami2 equipped diesel locomotives. And here is a quick reminder of the DCC and sound function list for this locomotive. Pretty standard for other Tsunami2 models. We'll take a look at that in just a few moments. Back to the box, we have a thin piece of foam on top, and then our model is sitting just inside. We have an additional small bag in what I like to call the seeker pocket with some additional lift rings in various shapes in case you need those. We'll go ahead and get the model unboxed out of the clamshell now. We have some soft plastic on the top of the model, and the truck immobilizers in this packaging are quite tight. So I found it best to just wiggle it slightly, and the model should come out. We have 4 pieces of handrail foam that I'll get off in just a moment. After a brief refocus and removing 2 pieces of handrail foam on each side of the model, here is a quick 360 of this Union Pacific SD70M. This latest run of the SD70Ms, as well as some BNSF SD75Is, was announced in April 2024. And these models are just now starting to ship to dealers as I record this video at the end of June 2026, so look for any invoices if you have some on pre-order. They're currently selling for around $300 at most retailers, but as always I'd recommend shopping around for your best deal on these models. There's some neat other options in this run too, including Union Pacific with flared radiators as well as RJ Corman. I'll leave a link in the description to the Athearn product pages if you're interested in checking out any of these models in this upcoming run. Before we get too deep in the details on our SD70M, I wanted to give you a quick comparison between this Prime for Grime model and a factory fresh UP paint job on an Athearn GP60 that I recently featured in a review as well. You can check out the paint itself, quite a bit lighter on our SD70M versus our GP60. And of course our battery and equipment box doors here are also significantly lighter as they are replacement parts even on the 4090. Our gray paint on the top as well as on the trucks and pilot are also significantly lighter than the paint found on our GP60 all across the board, even on top of the nose. The Prime for Grime lineup is made for weathering from Athearn, so this is a perfect candidate if you'd like to add some dust and dirt on it to reflect a late service era appearance. Starting off with the details here on the front of the locomotive. Since we're not yet in the Genesis 2.0 tooling, the only LED lighting we have are the front and rear headlights and the front ditch lights on this model. The next time we see this model, it should be in the 2.0 tooling with lit number boards, walkway lights, and ground lights. That hasn't yet made its way to this particular model. When that will be announced, I'm not sure. We do have a bunch of separately applied grab irons, including both sides of the number boards, just above the engineer's side number board, and 3 painted gray on the nose, and a few painted yellow running up the front of the nose. We have some nice windshield wipers that are metal and separately applied as well. Our sanding hatches are also featured on the nose. We have a separate cab door without a window applied on this model. All of our handrails are plastic and are in pretty good shape for just being plastic. They're some of the best I've seen on a plastic model out of the box, so props to Athearn for those. Down at the bottom we do have a plastic knuckle coupler. That's the McHenry one that comes on most Athearn models. that is pretty easy to swap out with a metal KD if you prefer. We also have rubber MU hoses and a train line hose with silver tipped ends down at the bottom, and an uncoupling lever that's wire with white handholds on both sides. You can see into the cab interior a little bit from this angle. The engineer and conductor side windows are tinted, so it's a bit tougher to see in. I'll try to give you a quick view inside there as best I can from this angle, if I avoid the glare. And I'll give you a side-on shot of that as well. Moving on to the conductor side, here's a look at the stepwell on the model. Some nice white paint on the ends. This is a fully molded in piece, and all of the steps are flat and not treaded, while all of the other walkways on our model are treaded. As we move to the cab side, you can see a little bit in. It's quite dim because of the tinted cab windows. They rest just beneath this rust-colored sunshade with just a little bit of extra plastic poking out, not a big deal there. That's the only part of this prime for grime that might not be quite accurate. Some photos I found online had the sunshades a bit more patchy than a full rust look, but that's something you can easily weather up. Other than that, the other faded parts on this model pretty much are spot on from what I could tell from other prototype photos. We already briefly covered the replacement battery box and equipment doors here on the sides of the model. The actual latches are still the same color as the rest of the body, that slightly faded yellow. I do think that does look very nice on the side. We also have the under warranty text and the SD70M model number here, just underneath the number, and a wind deflector and rearview mirror just underneath an armrest sticking out the side of the cab as well. The cab windows do not open without modification on the model. Here's a good look at the sides of the trucks here with the brake cylinders. We do not have rotating bearing caps yet on this model. We'll probably see that in a Genesis 2.0 upgrade as well. You can see there is a windshield wiper on the rear of the cab as well. You can see through our blower housing. It's a bit tough here in the light, but there are some exposed wires you can see in there as well, and what might be a fan inside too. Our bell is mounted below the frame, which has the nice yellow sill stripe on this model. Here's another evidence of our faded paint here with our lightning stripe fading to gray up at the top. You can see a variety of danger and warning labels on the engine hood doors as well as I move on down. Those are legible in person. I can't quite get them to focus in on camera though. Here's a good look at our molded in radiator section here. You can see already that one of our radiator fans on top is also a replacement. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. And just a quick look at the rear of the model here on the conductor side as well. Very similar to the front in terms of details and the truck side frames. Moving on to the rear of the model, the only lighting we have is our LED rear headlight, since the UP does not use number boards on the rear and our walkway light is just painted on in the center. Down at the bottom we have the same plastic coupler as the front and same MU and train line hoses, but additional MU hose and one spare knuckle on both sides of the pilot as well. We also have separately applied metal grab irons running up to the roof here on the conductor side, and a single longer grab iron on the engineer side. Up at the top you can see some of our lift rings. Although we had a whole bunch in the poly bag, they are all installed already on the model, so you don't need to add any out of the box. There isn't much evidence this model is prime for grime from this rear view of the model, since there's no replacement components, just the paint itself is slightly faded overall. Moving on to the engineer's side of the model, each stepwell has a step light housing between the bottom two steps. That's where you could add step lights in the future if you prefer. You can see our separately applied brake wheel is in the recess on the car body with some instructions in white text on the black background there. Most noticeably on this model is the replacement engine hood door with the end of the Building America phrase found on a different variation of the UP scheme in a more factory fresh armor yellow color. Our speed recorder is found on this axle with the cable running up and over the truck. You can see some of our sanding line detail as well as some various other brake piping detail on the side of the trucks. As we move on down the car body, you can see a different location of the faded red lightning stripe across the center of the long hood here, and a variety of danger and warning labels on various doors on the car body. We have very similar fuel tank details on this side with the sight glass, fill valve, and the emergency stop button along the frame there. And as we move towards the front of the model, we see very similar details that we saw on the opposite side with the rust-colored sunshade, wind deflector, armrest, and backup mirror. We also have replacement doors on the side with the body-colored latches and a little F for the front of the model here. Moving on to the roof of the model, you can see this version has PTC installed on this lighter gray plate with 3 large and 3 small ice skate antennas on it, as well as a single grab iron near the front of the cab. We have our exhaust fan here in the center, and as we move on down past a variety of different lift rings on top of the car body, we see our dynamic brake doors on top, as well as the horn mounted in the center of the body. But most noticeably on this model is the Prime for Grime feature with the replacement radiator fan on top, next to the plastic gray ones that match the rest of the body. We have a few grab irons near the rear and our sanding hatch, and once again a variety of lift rings throughout the top of the model. Moving on to the underbody, you can better see our plastic sanding lines on the rear of the truck tucked in behind the step wells. A reminder, these are the front ones here that are flexible. That's a good thing they are plastic because they do come into contact with the truck side frames. We can see a wire pipe running between our two brake cylinders. The rest on the model on the underbody are plastic piping. If you wanted to replace the coupler, you can just pop out the one screw and then pull the coupler through the coupler pocket in the plow. As we move on down, we don't have too much detail here directly underneath our fuel tank. But as we move underneath the cab, we have even more of that piping detail. And here's a quick look at the actual trucks themselves. You can see our electrical pickups there, as well as more of that side frame detail from the underside of the model. And before we get into the DCC sound demo, I wanted to give you a quick side-by-side comparison look at the only other SD70M in my collection, the CSX model from around 2016, 2017 or so. They're both still in the regular Genesis lineup, but they do have some road number specific details. There aren't any CSX models in this current run of SD70Ms, but just to give you a comparison look with some of the details that you can see between each model. Different horns, etc. on top as well. But of course, we don't have any of the Prime for Grime features on the CSX model that we've been talking about today with our Union Pacific one. And now let's check out the DCC and sound functions here on the Tsunami2 decoder. Here's a quick reminder of the DCC and sound function list here on this Tsunami2 model. The only things I've done to the locomotive are reprogram it from its factory address of 3 to the road number 4090 and turn off DC mode, which sets the decoder CV29 to a value of 34, just my personal preference. Tsunami2 decoders will start up once track power is applied. This model is quite loud out of the box. I have not changed any of the volume settings. So here is our startup. Function 0 is our directional headlights. Function 1 is the bell. Function 2 is the horn. That'll function and play as long as you have that held down. Function 3 is the short horn. Function 4 are the dynamic brakes or straight to idle, which doesn't have a sound here while we're idling. Function 5 is our ditch lights. 6, since we don't have any additional lights, does not have a function. Function 7 is the headlight dimmer and cab chatter. You can just about hear the cab chatter over some of the idling. Function 8 mutes our model. Nice fade out there, and we can bring that right back. And function 9 will be our half volume. That brings it down to a little bit more reasonable volume. Function 10, after we bring this right back up, is our straight to 8 and sander valve. So you can press this button to notch all the way up to notch 8, and then we'll notch all the way back down. And now back to idle. Function 11 is our brake set and release, which doesn't have a sound function to it. That'll just stop your model or release it. I can go ahead and press function 27 once, just jumping ahead a little bit, to shut down our locomotive. This will also let us hear some of the quieter sounds a little bit better, such as now toggling function 10, you can just hear the sander valve. And back to our list, function 12 is our brake select. With those two different sounds. Function 13 couples and uncouples the locomotive. Function 14 is the half speed and overrides momentum. Function 15 is our handbrake. And the release. Function 16 turns on and off head and power mode, which we don't have on this model. Function 17 is our fuel loading sequence. Function 18 is our general service sequence. Playing that sound when toggled on or off. Function 19 goes straight to idle when we're in motion. Function 20 is our steam generator or the auxiliary head end power generator, which we don't have on this model. 21, 22 not used. Function 23 is the all aboard or coach doors. We'll hear the all aboard here.
All aboard!
24 and 25 are auxiliary lighting effects that we don't have on this model. And now bringing us back to the notching up and down with 26 and 27. While we're currently off here on this model, I can go ahead and toggle 26 to notch us back up to idle. And then once again, I can use 27 to notch us back down or turn off the locomotive. And that will round out our function list, as 28 is also not used. But let's get this model on the move. We'll go ahead and start moving forwards first. There isn't much momentum pre-programmed in on this model. You can add that if you prefer as well with CVs. Moving forward at 1 speed step now. We get a notch up. It's very, very smooth at 1 speed step. Up to 2, we immediately start moving at that speed, and getting up to 5, and then 7 will notch us up. And flipping into reverse. We'll see our rear headlights come on backwards at 1 speed step. I can go ahead and toggle our dynamic brakes with function 4. You can hear those on now, that whine. And if I toggle those off, this model can be extremely quick if you would like it to. Its top speed is very quick, similar to other Athearn Genesis models. So if you're looking for a hot intermodal, this locomotive out of the box is perfect for you. And now for a bit of performance testing notes. Our front coupler is just a touch low, but it still does couple into the KD height gauge. Our rear coupler is also dead on, so good news on those fronts. All of the wheels on the model are also in gauge according to my wheel gauge, so good news there as well. The model's also nice and heavy with basically no body wobble, so no worries about that on your layout. Should be able to pull a whole bunch of cars, even up a nice grade. The minimum radius curve for this model is 18 inches. Here's a look at the model on 22-inch radius curves, just so you can see the overhang of the trucks to the frame itself. I had no issues testing the model on 18, 22-inch, and higher radius curves. No derailments or uncoupling problems. I would definitely recommend on larger 6-axle units like this one to run the largest radius curves possible for the best performance and look of the model. I hope you enjoyed this look at the details and small demo of this upcoming Union Pacific SD70M from Athearn in their Genesis lineup. These are currently shipping out to dealers as I am recording this video here at the end of June 2026, so absolutely get a pre-order in if you haven't already, if you're interested in one of these models. I'll leave a link to the product page with all the different road names and feature list down below in the description as well in case you are interested. I would recommend, as always, shop around for the best deals. Seems like they're going for around $300 right now with an MSRP of $360, so whatever works out best for you, definitely go with them. The paint on the model is great. I love all the Prime for Grime features. They definitely are pretty realistic based off some photos I found of the prototype. The only thing that wasn't quite accurate was the fully rust-colored sunshades. They were more spotty in person, but as always, that's something you can easily add with a bit of weathering yourself. Performance on the model is great, as it has been with other recent Athearn Genesis models. Nice quiet drivetrain, moves very quickly if you would like it to move quickly. Adding a bit of momentum is pretty easy with CVs as well if you want it to spool up a little bit more slowly. Always a nice feature to have out of the box too. Tsunami2 sounds great, very loud speaker, no tinny or rattle on the speaker. Overall, a very solid model if you're interested in grabbing one. But I'll go ahead and end off this review here. I do hope you enjoyed. As always, do me a favor and subscribe if you haven't already. It is free and does help me to make a few dollars, so I do really appreciate it. Like the video if you enjoyed as well. And as always, drop me a comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them as best I can. And let me know if you already have some SD70Ms on order with this upcoming run, or ones in a prior run as well, like myself with that CSX model. Let me know how they're treating you too. But thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.